Down in the locker room.
Thanks, Sean. I'm in the locker room of Auburn University. When I think of Auburn and SEC, I think defense. Right here's David Rocker's locker. David will be a big playmaker in this football game today. Let's take a little strategy here. Both teams run about the same offense and defense. Let's take Georgia first on offense. The key matchup is the inexperienced offensive line of Georgia versus a very strong defensive front of Auburn. Garrison Hurst, the tailback, the freshman. They'll try to get him the ball numerous ways, but the important point will be whether they can average 4+ yards on first down. If they can, then they can get themselves in pretty good situations. Let's reverse it on the other side. Auburn's offense, I look for Pat Dye to unleash Stan White, the redshirt freshman quarterback today. I look for him to throw the football on first down and try to get themselves in situations where they play a wide-open football game. Look for Georgia to blitz a lot on defense to try to make that first down situation not work for Auburn. Let's take one play that you'll see about 12 times for each team in this ball game, the toss sweep. On the toss sweep, you'll look for the tight end to block the outside backer, the tackle to reach on the defensive end, the guard to pull around on the backer, the center to cut off the nose guard, the guard to pull around on the backside backer, and the tackle to cut off. The fullback will look through for the strong safety and try to block support. Both tailbacks will be given the pitch from the quarterback and try to find a seam and break it open. This will be an exciting football game. A lot of emotion, and it's a big rivalry. Back to you, Sean.
As Mike points out, these two teams very similar from a strategy standpoint. They are also very familiar with each other off the field. With more on that story down to the sidelines, here's Kevin Kiley.
Thank you, Sean. Athens, Georgia, about 160 miles east of here, and in 98 years, these two teams have built up quite a rivalry. Vince Dooley, 25 years, the head coach at Georgia. He's now the athletic director in Athens. Well, he's a graduate of Auburn University. Ray Goff, the head coach at Georgia, 1976 SEC Player of the Year, and Pat Dye, the head coach at Auburn. He, too, a graduate of Georgia. 1959, he was an All-American for the SEC champions. It's a friendly but a fierce rivalry, typical SEC football. Back up to you, Sean.
ESPN's presentation of CFA primetime football, Georgia versus Auburn, is being brought to you by BASF, the spirit of innovation, by Aetna, a policy to do more, and by Champion, makers of the high-output technology spark plug, the world's most advanced. It's a border war as Georgia meets Auburn in Auburn, Alabama. We'll have the opening kickoff in just a moment. Georgia and Auburn set to finish our triple header on ESPN on this college football Saturday. This rivalry dates back to 1892. It's the oldest rivalry in the Deep South. Auburn with a slight edge based on their wins in the last 3 meetings between these two schools, including last year's game in Athens. The Tigers won it 20-3. Chad Wilson on the left, and he'll handle the kickoff. Georgia won the toss and elected to receive. Wilson crossed the 20 and went down right there. The Georgia Bulldogs on offense, led by junior quarterback Greg Talley. The fullback is Max Strong, the tailback, the freshman Garrison Hurst. The receivers, Hummings and Kevin Maxwell. The starting tight end is Chris Broom. The tackles, Bill Rosenberg and Lamont Tellis. The guards, Hayes Sadler and William Wynn. And the center, playing with a broken right wrist, his snapping hand, Jack Swan.
Wouldn't be surprised, Sean, early if they try to get him off of him and throw the ball deep. There you could see emotions right off the bat. The right tackle moved and fired out, and they're going to get a penalty right off the bat. Noise will be a factor here in the signal calling. This is a noisy stadium.
Mike Gentry, the referee. These folks know that Tennessee beat Mississippi.
Looks like it's a fired-up team. This is seniors' last home game. And here again, I think this is the biggest matchup, whether that offensive line of Georgia can play against this defensive line of Auburn.
1st and 15 from the 15. Talley intercepted. Dennis Wallace picks it off for the Auburn defense.
That is not the way you want to start if you're a young football team like Georgia. Here you see the replay. Greg Talley's faking to Garrison Hurst on a rollout, but it didn't fool anybody. 1st and 15, he threw it right in the hands of Dennis Wallace.
His team leading 4th interception of the year. Stan White, the redshirt freshman quarterback, on 1st and 10, dumps it off over the middle. Complete for a short gain across the 20 and down at the 18-yard line. White, as I mentioned, a redshirt freshman from Birmingham. In the backfield, Stacy Danley and James Joseph. Joseph lines up as the fullback. The wideouts, Greg Taylor and Shane Wasden. The tight end, Victor Hall. The tackles are Chris Gray and Rob Selby. The guards, King and Blake. King just named to the Kodak All-American team, and the center is Bob Meeks.
They came right out throwing with Stan White.
And they picked up 4 on 1st down. Down to the ground in Stacy Danley. He tripped after crossing the 15, went down to the 13-yard line. Defensively for Georgia, the nose guard, Mike Steele. The tackles, Eric Coney and Willie Jennings. On the inside, it's John Allen and Dwayne Simmons. The outside linebackers, Mo Lewis and Mitch Davis. And in the secondary, George Wynn and Al Jackson are the corners. The safeties, Mike Jones and Chris Wilson.
Look for Georgia to blitz right here, Sean, on a 3rd and 2 situation.
White throws complete. Joseph inside the 5, out of bounds at the 3, with a 1st down for Auburn.
Georgia blitz with outside pressure. Stan White rolls out, gets Gene Joseph in the flat for a good gain to 1st down. The thing about Stan White, you have to remember right now, you're at the 10th game of the season. He's no longer a redshirt freshman. He's a sophomore. He's got experience now, and I look for him tonight. Pat Dye to give him the opportunity to throw the football.
1st and goal, Auburn, from just inside the 3. Danley thrown for a loss, back to the 4-yard line.
What Georgia's going to try to do in the goal line situation in short yardage is bring pressure from the outside. You'll see number 2, Al Jackson, getting up the field along with the inside linebacker and forcing to play Mitch Davis in the backfield.
Georgia graduate, Pat Dye, now the head coach and athletic director at Auburn in his 10th year with the Tigers. 2nd and goal. White throws it away.
That's a good choice by Stan White. He had no one open on the sprint out. He just threw it away. He knows he's got a 3rd down situation to come back to. A heady play by the redshirt freshman.
Coach Dye says, as a quarterback coming into Auburn, White is as good as any quarterback they have had. There's Pat Sullivan, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback at Auburn himself. He has a lot to do with the development of Stan White over the year.
Well, he does, and it's good to have a quarterback coach who did play quarterback. He can relate to what's happening to him on the field.
Tigers taking a lot of time in the huddle. 8 seconds left on the play clock as they get over the football. 3rd and goal. White faked the toss, throws for the touchdown. Victor Hall, the touchdown reception, and the Tigers are on the board.
You may see the development of a great quarterback tonight. Freshman Stan White opening it up. He's going to throw a lot of passes tonight. He's in control of this offense. You might see a great player develop in this football game.
Jim Von Weil adds the extra point. He's a perfect 24 for 24 in that category this year. Victor Hall, his first career touchdown, gives Auburn a 7-0 lead. ESPN's presentation of CFA primetime football, Georgia versus Auburn, is being brought to you by Oldsmobile, who invite you to stop by your Oldsmobile dealer and see what's new from the new generation of Olds. And by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. Auburn Auburn taking advantage of the interception by Dennis Wallace. The touchdown pass of 3 yards. White to Hall. It's 7-0 Tigers. Dickinson with a kickoff that goes through the end zone. Chad Wilson couldn't handle it. And for the second consecutive possession, Georgia gets the football at its own 20. After the interception by Wallace, the scoring drive covered 21 yards, 6 plays, took just 2 minutes and 16 seconds, and Hall scores the first pass of his Auburn career.
One of the things you have to worry about if you're Ray Goff and the Georgia coaching staff, you have 60 players who are freshmen and sophomores. They could get rattled in this scene tonight. There's a lot of noise, a lot of people pulling for Auburn. They could get rattled early.
Should say the first touchdown of Hall's career on his 13th pass reception. Chris Broom, the tight end, the motion man. Garrison Hurst. Whistled down after a gain of 1. Taken down by the inspired Auburn defense. The nose man is Walter Tate. Outstanding tackles in David Rocker, a Lombardi Trophy finalist, Lamar Rogers. The inside linebackers Cunningham and Willis. On the outside, Merchant and Barlow. Eric Ramsey and Corey Barlow are the cornerbacks. The safeties, John Wiley, first team SEC, and Dennis Wallace, the man who leads the team in interceptions now with 4. There's a personal foul penalty against Georgia.
Well, they're in trouble early. And again, Ray Goff, you see arguing with the official. But again, youth, you make those kind of mistakes when you have 60 freshmen and sophomores. Personal foul, a dumb mistake early, but now they're pinned back in the hole again. Frustration.
Frustrated because it backs Georgia up to its own 10 and sets up 2nd down and 20. Georgia, 2 men in motion, and there's a flag down to the play. Hurst down at the 6 for a loss of 4. Flag likely against Georgia for illegal motion.
Again, Sean, what you have is a young team against a very inspired veteran football team in Auburn. A lot of mistakes early. They've got to regain their poise.
Offense is declined. We'll play a 3rd down.
See, getting the noise becomes a factor. You're right in the end zone, right for the students and the band. You can't hear the signals. 2 backs moved right off the bat. It's just a little bit of a problem for them early to be backed up in this end zone.
The offense has been Ray Goff's biggest disappointment in this season of disappointments. He thought the defense would be good. Defense has been decimated by a number of things. Academics have been a problem for some of the players, caused them to leave the team. Injuries a big problem. They've lost 9 defensive linemen at the Bulldogs since the start of practice this summer. 3rd and a mile. And Hurst didn't go anywhere near a mile. Perhaps a yard or 2 out to the 7, and that's it. And Georgia will be forced to punt from the shadow of its own goalpost.
Well, George Hafner, the quarterback coach, needs to get the Georgia offense and just get them on the bench and gain their composure, because they're going to get blown out of here if they don't real soon. I look for Auburn to go after this punt. But they just need to settle down, get a little field position, and not create all the turnovers themselves.
Scott Armstrong is the redshirt freshman punter from Jackson, Mississippi. He's had 1 block this year. An excellent returner in Shane Wasden, back deep for Auburn. He just did get it off a bad kick that goes out of bounds along the Auburn sideline inside the 35-yard line. Here's Kevin.
Sean, Mike, I'll tell you what, this is 85,000 of the loudest fans I have ever heard. One thing to bring an experienced team in here, try to play Auburn on their home field, but this young Georgia team is getting clobbered by the crowd. As Rodney Dangerfield might say, a very tough crowd. Back upstairs to you.
Wouldn't be surprised again Stan White throws on 1st down. I think Larry Blakeney and Pat Sullivan, the co-offensive coordinators, would like to have him throwing.
And indeed he is throwing. His pass batted down. Looked like Eric Coney got a piece of it as White was trying to throw over the middle.
Georgia defense needs to make some big plays in this drive, Sean. Tremendous field position for Auburn. Even though they didn't block the punt, they forced a kicker to shank it off to the left. Here's Stan White's passing statistic. You see he had 9 interceptions in his last 5 ball games, and that's something that would bother you a little bit. But again, he's a redshirt freshman.
Those numbers interesting. Normally you would expect a young quarterback to improve as the season went along. White has gone in the opposite direction. Darrell Williams, the ball carrier, his first carry of the game. He's a sophomore from Pritchard, Alabama. He crossed the 30 and went down at the 29. 3rd down and 6 upcoming.
You see the linebackers take the fake, but they came off the block. It's a counter play that they gave the ball to Electron Williams. He's from Mobile, Alabama.
And the possessor of a terrific nickname. Darrell Electron Williams. Play action for White on 3rd down. Throws caught for the 1st down inside the 20-yard line. The catch made by Greg Taylor, Auburn's leading receiver. He now has 43 catches, and that one is good for 13 yards.
You never realize when a quarterback really comes of age. I have a feeling he's coming of age tonight. He had a real tough game a couple weeks ago against Florida. Again, when you take a redshirt freshman on the road, it's a little difficult for him. Here you see him roll out. He's got a strong arm and a great release. And he puts that ball right in the pocket to Greg Taylor.
They say White's biggest problem lately has been really a team-wide problem on offense, and that is picking up blitzes from the opposition. He hasn't handled it well, but neither has the rest of the offense. There's Electron again. Down to the 15, a gain of 2 on 1st down.
On every 1st down play so far, Georgia has blitzed. Now, as a defensive coordinator, your thinking has to be, I have to stop Auburn. But there's an old saying in coaching, you live with a blitz, you die with a blitz. So you have some possibilities of some big plays here for Auburn.
The Auburn offense has been very efficient inside the 20, in the red zone, if you will. Scored 25 times in 27 possessions. Inside the opposing 20. White underneath for a short gain. Williams with the reception. He took a heavy hit as he went down at the 13.
Watch a deep drop by the linebackers. Electron Williams is just going to go out and sit down on the hash, inside the hash at the yard line, 10-yard line. Just an option route, makes the catch. Dwayne Simmons makes the tackle for Georgia. Look for a rollout this way by Stan White.
Mark Williams down at the 12. 3rd down 6. White has it deflected and nearly picked off. Mitch Davis was trying to run under that deflected pass, and if he did, he had nothing but running room between himself and the goal line.
One of the things that's happened in these early plays, I've seen 2 balls batted down right now. The Auburn offensive line is not attacking the Georgia defensive linemen low enough to get their hands down. Here you see the offensive linemen of Auburn. They stand straight up. Watch the outside linebacker, Mitch Davis, get his hands up. They must attack him low so they can get him to bring his hands down.
Jim Von Weil trying a 29-yard field goal. It's good. It has been all Auburn over the first 5+ minutes. The Tigers lead 10-0. Auburn 10, Georgia nothing. We played 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Again, it's Chad Wilson, number 19, Chuck Carswell, number 27, at the bottom of your screen. They've been busy. This is the 3rd kickoff they will have handled. Chris Dickinson. Wilson took the bouncer inside the 10. Tries to cut across the field, and he did not make it. Clarence Morton, the backup free safety, made a big play on special teams for the Tigers.
Here's the replay. Watch the kickoff team come down, stay in their lanes. They don't get outside their lanes. Everybody stays exactly where they need to do.
Including Clarence Morton, sophomore from Maplesville, Alabama.
Georgia has to settle down on offense. They have to put a series together in this possession.
Talley still at quarterback. Now he's scrambling. He's out to the 19. A gain of 1, and that is all.
The toughest problem that Georgia will have today is their 2 offensive tackles. Bill Rosenberg, who's a young sophomore, and Lamont Tellis, who's a young junior, playing against Lamar Rogers, a 6'4", 275-pound senior, and David Rocker, 6'4", 264-pound senior. They're going to control the line of scrimmage on Georgia.
Second down, 9. Quick hitter is complete. Damon Evans with the reception, and he's down at the 25, still nearly 4 yards short of a first down.
What Georgia needs to do is have good mix in their play calling so that they can keep Auburn from drawing a beat on them. They're a toss sweep team. I wouldn't be a bit surprised they try to get the ball to Garrison Hurst here, running the sweep wide.
Those numbers have Talley the third-rated quarterback in the SEC, behind Vanderbilt's Mike Healy and Florida's Shane Matthews. Big 3rd and 3. Man open, caught. First down out to the 35-yard line. Shannon Mitchell, the backup tight end, freshman from Alcoa, Tennessee, picked up the first down.
Good play action by Greg Talley. You watch Shannon Mitchell, another true freshman, 6'3", 230, just curl over the middle. Just see him just come back to the football. The linebackers get sucked in by the fake. Here's the hit from James Willis on Greg Talley. Somebody will have to tell him if it was complete.
Indeed it was, for the first down at the 36. Larry Ware, the backup tailback, out near the 40.
This is the toss sweep that we told you about earlier. Here's Larry Ware. He's out of Montgomery, Alabama. Runs a toss sweep, but again, Darrell Crawford gets off the block on the inside. James Willis makes the play. Still a gain of about 3 yards.
Darrell Crawford came over to finish Ware off. Again, it's Ware for very little. Right to the 40-yard line, and that's it. Ware's a junior. He was the Alabama Player of the Year as a senior at Robert E. Lee High School in Montgomery.
They have the blue-gray game in Montgomery. They do such a great job over there, and all Larry Ware's coaches are always involved in the blue-gray game. They told me, I believe it was 3 years ago, that this was going to be an exciting college football player. They had him in high school.
3rd down and 6. Georgia just less than 37% on third downs this year. Down goes Talley back at the 33. Lamar Rogers and James Willis combine on the sack.
Lamar Rogers just comes over Lamont Tellis, and James Willis comes from this backer spot, blitz late on the blitz, and sacks Greg Talley. Sometimes you can blitz, you'll blitz right on the snap of the ball. Sometimes you have a delayed blitz, and that's what James Willis did there. He sat, read the play, let the offensive line set their protection, then blitz late.
Wasden returned to punt earlier this year for a touchdown. That was against Vanderbilt. Nice kick this time by Armstrong. From the 20, it's Wasden. Finds a seam. 40. And tripped up just short of the 45-yard line. 47-yard punt and a 24-yard return for Wasden. Down to the sidelines, here's Kevin Cantley.
Very much, Sean. 25 years, the head coach of Georgia, a graduate of Auburn. Special feelings coming back here as an athletic director?
Well, it's a pretty intimidating place, particularly for the young players that we have out there, and I think we're seeing a little of the intimidation with the youth right now.
Let's talk about Ray Goff now. You've never had to hire a coach. You've never had to fire a coach. Ray's first 2 years, not the most productive years in Georgia football. What's your evaluation? How do you feel about the job he's done?
Well, I think he's headed the program in the right direction. I knew that we were going to have a little bit of a down period, and he's had 2 great recruiting years. And I really think that this might be the youngest football team we've had in 27 years. It's hard to play when you have one senior on offense, one on defense, and one in the kicking game in any league, particularly in this conference. But they've got a lot of great young players, and the future looks good.
Well, Ray Goff will get some time.
He'll do a job. He'll do a job.
Thanks, Vince. Back upstairs to you guys.
And back upstairs in time for a great catch by Fred Baxter to give Auburn a first down at the Georgia 37.
Fred Baxter just snatches this one out of the air. 6'4", 210 pounds. He runs an out pattern. He's down the field. You see Stan White with a reach. Watch this catch. Watch him just reach that hand up there, gain control with one hand, and bring it into his body. Excellent catch by Fred Baxter.
11th reception of the year for the sophomore from Brundage, Alabama. He's listed as the 3rd string tight end. For the near side, incomplete, intended for Taylor, and he got leveled by George Wynn.
Well, Greg Taylor's going to go back to the huddle, and he's going to explain to Stan, get it down just a little bit because I want to stay in the ball game. George Wynn nearly knocked him out. I like the way that Auburn's playing this offensive football game. Watch this hit by George Wynn. This high hit that got his attention. Sometimes you'll let him catch a 5-yard pass and you'll trade a headache for that 5 yards.
George had his best game of his career last year against Auburn with 10 tackles. On 2nd and 10 to the run, Stacey Danley through a big hole and down at the 31-yard line. A gain of 7 for Stacey Danley, the senior from Winston, Georgia.
When you have a first down play where you throw an incomplete pass, you need to pick it up, and 2nd down you need to get at least half of it back, and they were able to get 7 yards with Stacey Danley carrying the ball. They've got a good mix right now, Auburn does on offense, run, pass, and they're keeping Georgia off balance. Again, this will be a play to watch inside linebackers of Georgia blitz the offensive line of Auburn, trying to make something happen to take away the advantage Auburn has with a big offensive line.
3rd and 3 with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first quarter. Auburn trying to build on a 10-0 lead. The blitz is coming. White got it away. Man open. Herbert Casey still on his feet. Finally tripped up at the 6-yard line. Chuck Carswell made the touchdown-saving tackle. 25-yard gain.
Again, I just felt like Georgia has to do something. They have to blitz. But as I said earlier, you live with a blitz, you die with it. Watch the 2 inside linebackers. Blow the gap. Torrey Evans almost gets there, but he doesn't get there. And you got one-on-one coverage on the outside. Herbert Casey makes the play. Missed tackle by Chuck Carswell. Able to bring him down. Auburn on the 6-yard line.
I think Herbert used his entire arsenal of moves, but couldn't get into the end zone. He nearly did. 1st and goal from the 6. The fullback, James Joseph. Down to the 3-yard line. 2nd and goal upcoming.
The amazing thing about this Auburn team is the last couple weeks they've had trouble scoring touchdowns. In this particular ball game, this other Mississippi game in the 2nd half, Pat Dye said he felt like he got a little too conservative, but you can see his game plan tonight is not conservative. He is right now trying to turn up the heat, turn up the tempo on this young Georgia team. He wants to try to put them away and put them away early.
2nd and goal. Joseph again. Pulls inside the 2. Auburn off to a 4-0-1 start and scoring plenty of points, picking up plenty of yardage. Lately, a 2-2 record, including losses in their last 2 games. They have not been able to move the ball or score.
It's interesting. Last year, they won this ball game and then went on and had a great year, beat Alabama and won the bowl game. And again, it almost appears like they're trying to come back alive again tonight after 2 tough losses.
3rd and goal. White in trouble. Gets it away, batted down, incomplete. Mo Lewis, the standout linebacker for Coach Goff, made the play on White. Tough to tell what Ray is upset about. 4th and goal upcoming, and again the Georgia defense will force Auburn to try for a field goal.
Here's the play action, but Morris Lewis wouldn't have any of this. He wasn't going to take the fake. He makes a great play to save the touchdown, forces Auburn to kick the field goal. Stan White maybe didn't make a good decision there. He tried to throw it while he was in the grass.
Von Weil connected moments ago from 29 yards. This one's from 19, and it's good. It's 13-0 Auburn, but for Georgia, it could be much worse. John McDonough with Mike Gottfried and Kevin Kiley back in Auburn, Alabama. The Tigers lead 13-0. This time Ray Goff has flip-flopped his deep man. Carswell now at the top of the screen. And for the first time, he'll get to handle a kickoff. He started from the 4. And he runs it out to the 28. Last week, we solicited your opinion as to the #1 team in the country. This week, we want to know who's your Heisman Trophy winner. 900-786-2255, the number. You can vote for Eric Bieniemy, Ty Detmer, the Rocket, David Klingler, or Sean Moore. 95 cents a call. The proceeds go to charity. Here are the standings at the moment. The Rocket, an 8-point lead on Ty Detmer. 1st and 10, Georgia. Inside handoff to Max Strong, the fullback. Ball came free late. He had already been whistled down at the 30, a gain of 1.5 yards.
Well, going up into that play right there, Georgia was averaging 1.1 yards on 1st down. They can't get themselves into long yardage situations. Now they pick up 2 here. They're in 2nd and 8. They're playing right into the hands of Auburn. They have to get more yards on 1st down. May have to open it up, throw a quick passing game, some play action on 1st down.
2nd down, 8. Garrison Hurst to the 32 for a gain of 1. Here's Tim Brando.
Fellas, Eastern Washington is making $175,000 as a Division I AA team to take on Houston. It is 84-14. David Klingler, 11 touchdown passes. That breaks a touchdown passing record of 9 held by Dennis Shaw back in 1969. The problem? Poor Jerry Glanville cannot coach a football game with John Jenkins and David Klingler on the other sidelines. This is absurd.
84 points is a bit much to leave Klingler in to throw 11 touchdown passes.
Game's not over either.
No, it isn't. Think they can come back? 3rd down. Talley throws, intercepted. Corey Barlow picks it off.
This is a defense like a shark. Being attracted to blood right now. Watch Corey Barlow here. He almost interferes a little bit with Sean Hummings, but picks it off and again puts pressure on that Georgia defense.
Hummings came up looking for a call. Perhaps he had a gripe. 2nd interception of the year for Barlow, the junior from Atlanta.
Trying to get it all right on 1st down.
Joseph wide open over the middle. Good move. And he goes down to the 30-yard line. Mike Jones made the tackle for Georgia.
That's going to do the 1st quarter, Sean, but I'll tell you one thing. Georgia, I would look that we probably will have a quarterback change because they were planning on playing Joe Dupree, the 6'2", 190-pound freshman. I look for him to come in pretty soon for Georgia.
It was all Auburn in the 1st quarter, a touchdown and 2 field goals for the Tigers. The Auburn alumni and all of the Tiger fans smiling through 1 quarter here at Jordan-Hare Stadium. It's 13-0 Tigers. And they have the football at the 30 of Georgia, looking at 2nd down and 3. Alex Smith driven back after a gain to the 29-yard line. Smith, the junior from College Park, Georgia. There is a flag down, thrown right where the tackle was made.
Face mask, defense 5 yards.
When it rains, it pours. They did a pretty good job on the toss sweep again. Stopped it, but they'll pick up the 1st down with the penalty.
First down Auburn, now at the 24-yard line of Georgia.
Going to 1 back set now, 2 tight ends. This is a delayed, where they'll throw a lot of delayed passes out of this formation.
Just a 3-man rush. White has forever. Throws, incomplete. He waved Greg Taylor into the clear, but then he threw it just a bit short.
When the quarterback gets in trouble there, he doesn't need to point to where the receivers need to be. They have to adjust on their own, and they need to come back to the quarterback to help him.
The storyline does not read well for Georgia Bulldog fans. through one quarter. Stan White, 8 of 13. Great field position for Auburn. Their average start, the Georgia 32. 2 interceptions thrown by Talley and 2 turnovers for the Bulldogs. 2nd and 10. And it's Alex Smith down to the 20.
Greg Talley has thrown 2 interceptions, but it's not all his fault. He's been under tremendous pressure from that defensive front of Auburn. It's a good Auburn football team. A lot of people predicted that they would win the national championship at the beginning of the year.
It's been a tough team to figure. They've looked very good on some occasions, very bad on others. They've played poor football lately. They've been going on all cylinders here tonight. 3rd down, 6. White, good move to get away from the rush into the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Taylor. Al Jackson in the secondary with Chris Wilson. It was Wilson closest to Taylor.
It becomes a little frustrating for Auburn if they're not translating these turnovers into touchdowns, but you see Greg Taylor in the corner, but I look for now for Auburn to go to play action where they bring a guard out in front of the quarterback. They're running him on nakeds, and Georgia is staying home, so he doesn't have the real free throw that he needs, so they'll bring a guard out and they'll run waggles as we go in this ball game.
Von Weil attempting a 37-yard field goal. He's on the money again. 3 field goals now for the junior from Akron, Ohio. But the Georgia defense continues to force Auburn to kick field goals, and that defense is helping to keep the Bulldogs in the game. 16-0 Tigers, and we'll be right back.
The spirit of Auburn lives on as one of its famous sons returns to campus. Bo Jackson spends valuable time in the classroom working toward a degree in family and child development to achieve his lifetime goal.
The value of a college education to me is something that I'll always have. I'll have for the rest of my life, and after I'm finished with the sports world, it's something that I can fall back on.
Sean McDonough, Mike Gottfried, and Kevin Kiley back at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. It is 16-0, a touchdown and 3 field goals for the Tigers. This is the 5th kickoff for Dickinson.
The kickers are going to need oxygen.
That kick goes out of bounds inside the 5-yard line.
He's tired already. He's kicking it out of bounds. There's Joe Dupree. Wouldn't be a bit surprised we see him on the next series just to try to get something going, settle Greg Talley down, then bring him back and maybe alternate both quarterbacks. Joe Dupree is a true freshman. As I said earlier, Ray Goff is a 60-man freshman sophomore team on scholarship. Very young. Georgia must get something on 1st down. They're averaging 1.5 yards on 1st down. 1st down is the key for Georgia.
Well, kickoff number 6 in a little over 16 minutes for Chris Dickinson. Senior from Birmingham, Alabama, getting plenty of airtime. Short kick returned by Brian Cleveland. One time he was a running back, now he's a safety. And here comes Joe Dupree into the football game for Georgia. He's appeared in 3 games prior to tonight. As you can see, he has not had much success passing, completing just 26% of his passes, but he's a good runner. As a matter of fact, despite being the backup quarterback and having played in just 3 games, he's the 5th leading rusher for Georgia.
Well, as a coach, there's a lot of things that are exciting about a freshman. They're wild-eyed and they enjoy playing. They're going to let him start out by rolling out.
And one of the few positive gains on 1st down for Georgia. Here's Tim.
Sean, Fullerton State now goes into the record books as being the team that has the longest losing streak at 11. New Mexico State ends its losing streak of 27 games, blowing out Fullerton by a final score of 43-9. Let's get back to Jordan-Hare.
One thing about freshmen as we go back again, Sean, they make a lot of mistakes, but again, they're building their future right now, Georgia. on the young players.
Larry Ware close to the first down as he crossed the 40, went down at the 43. If he reached the 43, it is a first down, and it would be just the second first down of the game for Ray Goff's Bulldogs.
Watch Jack Swan. He's blocking with a broken hand. They ran a fold block. They brought the guard, William Flynn, around on the linebacker, which opened up the hole and maybe picked him up the first down. Auburn, if you're Auburn, Pat Dye, you might be a little frustrated down there. You get field goals. You like to get in there and get a touchdown. Your game plan's exactly what you want it to be right now, but you want touchdowns. You don't want to be held to field goals when you're down there.
Ray Goff, you heard former coach Dooley, still the athletic director at Georgia, say that as far as he's concerned, Ray Goff is not in any jeopardy of losing his job. Ray was saying yesterday that the fans have been very patient with him as well. They understand the situation. They've had some problems off the field. A lot of young players on the field. Dupree throws on the run, nearly intercepted. Intended for Shannon Mitchell, but just as the ball arrived, so did John Wiley.
Number 9, John Wiley.
Again, we talk about a young quarterback, a true freshman. Sometimes he'll make a mistake. Good fake right here to Garrison Hurst. He rolls out, but he just doesn't get enough on it. He's under pressure by Ricky Sutton. He throws the ball, almost picked off by John Wiley. Watch the hit that Joe Dupree takes after he throws the football. No hit, just
hit by
out.
Patrick Swayze.
Right.
Dupree out to the 47-yard line. Third and long upcoming for Georgia. They're looking at about 7 yards to pick up another first down.
See Joe Dupree on the last play where he just kind of faded back out of the throw. He just couldn't get anything on it because of the pressure that he received from Ricky Sutton. Pressure now that I think Auburn will try to put on Georgia will be from the outside linebacker spot. Try to blitz them from where they have their two receivers on the near side.
Short drop, short pass, incomplete. Intended for Kevin Maxwell. Eric Ramsey had the coverage for the Tigers, and again, Georgia will be forced to punt. Well, they looked a little bit better on offense that time.
Well, they picked up a first down, but again, it has to be frustrating. And what's going to happen in this ball game, Georgia's defense will eventually wear down unless their offense can put a drive together. And that was Ray Goff's concern coming in with the youth of the offense.
Armstrong, a high kick, lost in the fair catch near the 15-yard line. Auburn goes back on the attack, leading 16-0. ESPN's presentation of CFA primetime football, Georgia versus Auburn, is being brought to you by Infiniti, who invite you to test drive their full line of luxury automobiles, and by Apple Computer and the new, more affordable line of Macintosh computers. There was a penalty assessed to Auburn for unsportsmanlike conduct following the punt. The walk-off half the distance to the goal line, and it's 1st and 18 for the Tigers as they start with their worst field position of the game, their own 8. Stacy Danley out to the 11. He's knocked down there by Mike Jones, who is the brother of Georgia Tech quarterback Sean Jones. They'll be going head-to-head in a couple of weeks.
You watch Auburn, they move the fullback around. They're running an eye offense, but they'll move the fullback, and we'll get it for you here on the next couple plays where they offset him to try to get him a little closer to his blocking assignment. Also gets him out of the backfield on passing situations a little easier, and makes it a pretty good play for him. Here they're going with 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers.
On 2nd and 15, 16-0 Auburn. Just less than 11 minutes left in the first half. The delay again to Danley. Coach Dye keeping it on the ground. Danley's on the ground at the 14-yard line. Again, Mike Jones in on the stop.
Probably what's going through Pat Dye's mind and Pat Sullivan and Larry Blakely, the offensive coaches, is they don't want to have a turnover, but also they've been applying pressure the whole game. Now they've got a 3rd and 12 situation. Let's see if they put it up here and put some confidence in their young quarterback. Pat Dye, 141 wins, 50 losses, and 4 ties. Coached at East Carolina, was out of Wyoming where we were at last week for a year, and Now he's turned this program around at Auburn.
6 years at East Carolina, 1 year at Wyoming, and now in his 10th at Auburn. A rollout on third down. White's going to run. He goes down at the 18-yard line, well shy of a first down.
Now, this is going to be important for Georgia to get some field position. Auburn has had 4 punts blocked this season, so I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia sends the kitchen sink after them.
Chuck Carswell back to receive the punt. Here he turned 169 yards for a TD against Kentucky. Richie Nell just did get it off. A short kick, and it takes an Auburn roll all the way to the 31-yard line. A 50-yard punt for Richie Nell. Much of that on the bounce. U.S. Army's Student Athlete of the Game is brought to you by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life and be all you can be. Tonight's honoree is Auburn's number 28, Pedro Cherry. He carries a 3.45 GPA in pre-engineering, and he's a member of Phi Eta Sigma, the National Scholastic Honorary Society. Congratulations to Pedro Cherry, our U.S. Army Student Athlete of the Game.
Georgia needs to throw the ball deep down the field to get him off of him a little bit.
Dupree going deep, but overthrown by a mile. He was looking for Kevin Maxwell, and we throw a long bomb to Tim Brando.
Speaking of long bombs, Sean, the story behind this score, David Klingler has left the game. We're not sure if it's because of a sore arm. 41 of 58, 572 yards, 11 touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. That's like 13 shots on goal, hitting on 11 of them. The big news, since we reported the 11 touchdowns, in our 1-900 telepoll, he went up from 1% of the ballot to 2% of the poll. That's news. Let's get back to you guys.
Tim, that's about how it should be. David Klingler had his chance last week against good competition in Texas, and wasn't entirely his fault, but he didn't help himself. Again, they go deep, and again, nobody home for the Georgia Bulldogs. Sean Hummings was the intended receiver, if you can call him that.
Auburn is blitzing on every play. They just don't have time to throw the deep route. They're going to have to go to a maximum protection scheme to give him time. See Joe Dupree back to pass. They're just going to blitz this young quarterback. They're going to give him a chance. The blitz is coming from the outside to bring a defensive back, Dennis Wallace. Their man coverage, he just doesn't have time. If they go to a little bit more solid pass protection, only maybe put one receiver out in the route, they'd have a better shot. There's a pressure again.
And Dupree's going down back at the 24-yard line. David Rucker, with help from Kerrigan Cunningham, drops Dupree for the sack back inside the 25.
Well, here comes the blitz. Joe Dupree's going to get a lesson in football 101 on this particular play. They brought the 8 defensive players. They're just going to continue to blitz until Georgia can get something going on offense.
Team leading 6th sack of the year for Rucker. Found out yesterday that he's a member of the Kodak All-American team. Scott Armstrong, the punter.
Sean, they must go to maximum protection to give them any kind of chance to throw the football.
Another good punt. And again, it's Wasden with the fair catch at the 32. 16-0 Auburn. We'll return to Auburn, Alabama right after this. Auburn with the football on a 16-0 lead over Georgia nearly midway through the second quarter. Tigers begin at their own 32-yard line. Stan White. Underneath pass intended for Darrell Williams. Incomplete. Mo Lewis had the coverage for Georgia. This very young Georgia team, as Coach Dooley was mentioning moments ago, it's the youngest team Georgia has had in 27 years. Just one senior starter on defense, no senior starting on offense. Georgia has played 11 true freshmen this year, 8 redshirt freshmen. The leading rusher is Hurst, a true freshman. The leading receiver, Andre Hastings, out with an ankle injury, is a true freshman. White throws, batted down. He was under pressure that time from Mitch Davis. 3rd and 10 upcoming.
Well, Georgia is in this situation. Ray Goff called 4 reasons. First of all, the Jan Kemp trial back in 1986. The effects that it had on recruiting after that. There was a period of time, 85-86, when the competition was taking Prop 48 players. Georgia didn't take any. They signed 5 one year, and their 25 scholarship allotment that they had to release them after they didn't make the test score. And then the NCAA cut them back 4 scholarships in 85-86. You tie all these things together, and that's why they're a young football team today.
3rd down 10. The draw doesn't fool the Bulldogs.
Oh, there's a late hit. Should have been a penalty.
And there is a flag down. Looked like one of the Auburn linemen pushed down a Georgia defender well after the play had ended. Rob Selby, number 78, looked to be the guilty party.
It's been one of the criticisms of the Auburn football team that the coaches feel like that they lull themselves into
dead ball, personal foul, offense. Play a 4th down.
When things become easy and they score some points early, that they kind of lull themselves to sleep, and that may be happening to Auburn right now.
It's a team that has been very up and down, and Coach Dye has talked in the press locally about dissension problems on this team. It has not always been a unified Auburn team. Richie Nell's first punt went 51 yards officially, much of it on the bounce. Again, it's Carswell waiting for the punt. Nell has had 3 blocked this year. Georgia comes after him. Carswell, the fair catch at the 44. Auburn as a team has had 4 punts blocked. Tomorrow, we hope you'll start your football viewing day with NFL Game Day at its new time, 11:30 Eastern Time. And you can finish up the day's viewing activity as far as highlights are concerned at 7 with primetime. Highlights of every game played during the day. And, of course, Sunday Night Football comes your way for the 2nd time this year tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh against Cincinnati. A big battle in the AFC Central. Dupree keeps. He's into the secondary. He's into Auburn territory with a 1st down for Georgia at the 43-yard line.
It's the first option play that we've seen this evening. Joe Dupree's going to come right down the line, fake to the fullback, and run the option. Run the option off Ricky Sutton. He turns up the field. Linebackers are blocked. They put a good block on John Wiley. Corey Barlow comes in and makes the play. What I believe Georgia's going to try to do now is attack the outside. They haven't been able to get anything inside, so they must attack the outside.
First and 10, big hole. Larry Ware inside the 35. He picked up 8 yards on 1st down.
That's what they need to do on 1st down. They need to pick up yardage to put themselves in good situations where they can run and pass on 2nd and 3rd down and not always be in long yardage situations. It's an important drive for Georgia and this young football team.
Joe Dupree in relief of Greg Talley. Now the quarterback. Movement before the snap. Looked like the Georgia offensive line was moving ahead of the snap.
Dead ball, false start on the offense. We're going to play a 2nd down.
It's Bill Rosenberg. He's a sophomore out of Moorhead, Kentucky. You're familiar with that? That's where I went to school, Rowan County High School.
Did they retire your number? If not, they should.
In shame.
5-yard walk-off. Backs Georgia to the 40-yard line. Again, the option. High pitch, and Ware's dumped for a 1-yard loss. Eric Ramsey came up from the corner to make the play.
Instead of being 2nd and 2, they're in a 3rd and 8 situation. You just put yourself in difficulties on the penalty. They're going to run that same option that they ran where Joe Dupree picked the yardage up, but they ran it to the tight end side, and they forced him to pitch it early. Eric Ramsey's up in the backfield, makes the tackle. When you make an option quarterback make his decision quick or confuse him, that's the way you play the option. Look for the sprint out, Sean.
3rd and 8. The situation for Georgia, trailing 16-0. Dupree, a little bit low, intended for Sean Hummings.
Georgia felt that they were going to get the blitz. They had a 3-step drop, and we're going to throw that ball on time to try to beat the blitz. Just threw it a little low on the post. Ray Goff trying to encourage his young football team. And he's going to encourage that lineman not to jump off sides.
Shane Wasden waiting for the punt. This will be the 5th punt for Armstrong. with 6:10 left in the half.
He's on a record pace.
Plenty of time. The punt's a bit of a pop-up. And Wasden makes the fair catch at the 22. How do the coaches arrive at play selection? Yesterday, Mike Gottfried explained it to us.
I'm in the quiet of the coach's press box, and I want to show you how a play is born. The coaches up here have all different types of charts. On each play, they're marking down the plays, the defenses, the fronts, the coverages, and the blitzes. Now it's important for this coach to disseminate all that information and get it down to the sideline. The coach through his headset will say, it's 3rd and 7, we're in the red zone, expect a 50 defense, a blitz, strong safety blitz, and cover one man. Field, worst seat in the house, loud, people are pulling on my headset, but I have to make the play. I get the information from above, go down red zone, decide on the play I want. I give the formation. I, right, wing. The player takes in 2 jet shallow cross, and that's the play we're going to run.
They're the Auburn coaches now disseminating that information you were talking about.
I think it's important for people to realize that when this referee drops that hand, you have 25 seconds to make that decision. You've practiced every one of these situations. You have your plays ready to call. Pat Sullivan right there. But as I say, sometimes confusion on the sideline is a tough place to call them. A lot of times they'll call them from up here in the press box.
In this instance, Auburn sent the play in with the player rather than signal it in. White to throw on 2nd and 6. Now he's running. He's down short of a first down. His knee touchdown at the 30. They'll need 4 more to pick up a first down.
It's tough on a redshirt freshman. But as I said before at the start, he's a sophomore now with this game schedule. You know, the toughest thing for a young quarterback, and I've had Darnell Dickerson at Pittsburgh and Alex Van Pelt, is everything comes easy for him, but the leadership role they don't sometimes want to accept early because of the veteran players on the team.
Danley tripped up. He appears to be short of a first down. Needed beyond the 33, and they're going to mark him closer to the 32-yard line, and Auburn sends the punting unit on.
Georgia defense is playing well. They're making some key stops. They're blitzing on 3rd down situations. They're getting people up in the backfield, making plays, and Rakoff has to feel that his defense is doing a good job.
Again, it's Carswell to return it. This time they do not rush Nell. Carswell, fair catch at the 32. Let's update you again on our 900 number and on the current standings in our informal Heisman poll. 900-786-2255 the number if you want to vote for Eric Bieniemy, Ty Detmer, the Rocket, David Klingler, or Sean Moore. 95 cents is what the call will cost you. The Rocket, who was injured in the second half of that Penn State game you saw earlier on ESPN, has the lead at the moment. Up the middle go the Georgia Bulldogs with Alfonso Ellis, the fullback. He gained a yard, and that's all.
Well, Sean, I know who I'm going to vote for in that Heisman poll.
We'll save it till halftime.
Okay, I'm going to tell you at halftime. I won't make the phone call then.
That's right. You can save yourself the 95 cents because your opinion will be given over the airwaves. I will say this, the 11 touchdown passes by David Klingler did not compel me to change my vote and go with David. Second and long, it's Larry Ware taking the toss. He's down at the 35-yard line. 3rd down and nearly 7 upcoming for the Georgia offense.
Darryl Crawford, the backup linebacker, 6'2", 226-pound junior, made the tackle. The other thing that's happening right now with Auburn is they're playing a lot of second-team players. You see right here is number 76, Walter Tate, gets up the football field. Number 98, Mike Campbell, a backup. Number 56, Darryl Crawford, a backup. They're trying to wear down this Georgia football team, playing 2 units against them.
Third down, a long 6. Dupree thrown down. Lamar Rogers with the sack for Auburn.
right side of your screen. Walter Tate, the middle guard, number 76. Lamar Rogers, number 91. They just beat the defensive lineman, number 74. Mike Fellis. Get in the backfield, make the tackle. Joe Dupree didn't have any time to look over the field to see if anything was open.
Armstrong to punt for the 6th time. There's very little breeze in the stadium tonight. It is not effective. Big rush. They hit the kicker and a flag comes down. Wasden the fair catch at the 41. A couple of Tigers ran into Armstrong, and the referee Mike Gentry threw the flag.
There's an all-out blitz right here, and the worst thing you can do when you're going to block a kick is leave your feet because you're out of control. There's a point that you're going to go to 3 to 4 yards inside where the kicker lines up. That's your point to go to try to make the block. They just left their feet and ran into the kicker.
Roughing the kicker against the defense. 15, automatic first down.
So a break for Georgia. They retain possession at the 40-yard line. Next week, we'll see Virginia coming off the upset loss against Maryland today at Virginia Tech. Tech has played some good teams, very tough this year. That'll be followed by Syracuse and Miami. Syracuse wrapped up its Aloha bowl bid with the win at West Virginia today. And with the Notre Dame loss, perhaps Miami is now back in the forefront of the national championship picture.
Watch number 51, James Willis, make the tackle. That's a good tackle. It just meets him, puts his head right on the football. James Willis, Pat Dye told me at practice Thursday, may be one of the best linebackers he's ever recruited. He's a true freshman, 6'3", 225, playing as a freshman. He's a good blitzer and also plays the run very well.
2nd and 8. Down to a minute 12 left in the half. Dupree down. Tried to use the pump fake to get away from Reggie Barlow, but it didn't do him any good.
He tried to go deep down the sideline, but again, the offensive line of Georgia just can't hold up against the defensive front of Auburn.
Clock is running.
Auburn's bringing in extra defensive backs. The one thing you don't want to happen right now if you're Georgia is to get an interception. Let the clock run down and get out of here.
Now timeout whistled, and it's charged to Georgia. 38 seconds left in the first half. It's Auburn 16 and Georgia nothing. At age 35, Ray Goff, one of the youngest head coaches in college football, but he's aged a little bit in this first half.
Well, he has. He's put the headsets on now to find out what's going on offensively. They must throw the ball deep. You're going to run a draw. Now Auburn should use a timeout.
No indication yet that the Tigers want a timeout, and now they do get one with 29 seconds left in the half. Coming up at halftime, the USF&G halftime report with Tim Brando and Lee Corso. They'll bring you up to date with everything that has happened today in the world of college football. Another topsy-turvy Saturday in college football. The bowl picture becomes muddled again, as does the national championship picture and the Heisman race.
Pat Dye has to be a little bit concerned. He'd like to have a few more points in this game. He's just totally dominated his first half, and to only have 16 points has to frustrate him. It'll give him something to go into the locker room at halftime and complain about, and maybe kick and scream a little bit and try to get their attention.
Now, they just roughed the kicker, but they came close to a block. With this little time left, do you rush the kicker again?
The way they're dominating this football game, I'd bring them all again. I'd try to block the kick, and I'd use my timeouts. I'd throw 3 balls down the field as far as I could. Again, your defense is playing so well. Try to be the aggressor on offense. Plus, you got a tired punter.
Get this shit over with.
Blockers might be a little bit tired as well. 29 seconds left. First half, 16-0 Auburn. 1 touchdown and 3 Jim Von Weil field goals for the Tigers. And 10 men up on the line of scrimmage to rush Armstrong. Plenty of time, and Armstrong gets away a good kick. Wasden from the 13 ties the middle. Flag flies as Wasden went down at the 22. 19 seconds left. There is a flag on the return.
Travis Jones made the stop.
Clipping on the return team. Be a first down, half a distance.
Here's Shane Wasden receiving the punt. There's the clip. Number 27, Eric Ramsey. Hit the Georgia defensive player in the back.
Looked like 55. Wayne Bilesma also might have been guilty of a clip. 11-yard line, the starting point for Auburn.
They're just going to kill it, Sean. Just take the ball and step back, down it, go in at halftime and regroup.
Final seconds of the first half tick off. Auburn takes a 16-0 lead into the locker room at halftime. We invite you to stay tuned for Tim Brando and Lee Corso and the USFNG halftime report.
Breaking SEC news on the Southeastern Conference and the Fiesta Bowl. Mark Womack, the Associate Commissioner of the league, has informed us that until Tennessee has in fact claimed the Sugar Bowl by beating Kentucky and Vanderbilt, no decision will be made on who goes to the Fiesta Bowl. Let's get back out now to Sean McDonough.
Thank you, Tim, and certainly that news is of interest to fans of these two schools, Auburn in particular. The Tigers leading 16-0 at the half. Down on the sidelines, here's Kevin Kiley with Georgia coach Rick Goff.
Okay. All right, thank you, Sean. Coach, your defense didn't play bad in that first half.
No, I'd say they played very good. You know, we turned the ball over, and the 4 times they scored, they got the ball in our territory. One time at the 44. We're playing hard. We just got to quit making mistakes on offense. It's been a problem all year, and I'm confident we'll come out and play better.
Tough place to bring a bunch of youngsters, huh?
Oh, anywhere you play in Southeastern Conference is tough, and this is not unlike anywhere else.
All right, Coach, good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sean, back up to you, Sean.
Thank you, Kevin. Auburn will get the ball to start the second half. 3 men back deep. And our first look at John Casey, left-footed place kicker. Herbert Casey has some running room along the sideline. Flags fly, a late flag thrown back at the 25-yard line. Herbert Casey brought it out to the 42, but it might be coming back. Chad Wilson made the tackle.
Against the return team, be a first down.
See the return right here. All the defensive people, Herbert Casey on the return, you can't leave your feet, you can't block someone low, and that's the call. They found one of the Auburn players, left his feet, and chop blocked, and that's the call on this particular play. Pat Dye not happy about it.
Not exactly an offensive affair in the first half. 5-4 the first down. Georgia had just 41 yards of total offense in the first half. Auburn 126. But it's Auburn with a 16-0 lead. And it's Stan White throwing on first down over the middle and caught. Herbert Casey out to the 25-yard line. Good for an Auburn first down.
Well, the difference in the first half was the 2 turnovers, the 2 interceptions that Auburn received. On this particular play, they start out throwing the football. Stan White hits Herbert Casey on an in route. You see the statistics, the 2 turnovers are the difference. Passing attempts, 2 out of 9 for Georgia. They have to get something going throwing the football.
Stacey Danley close to another first down at the 36-yard line. He is Auburn's 5th all-time leading rusher, and he's in illustrious company with Bo Jackson, James Brooks, Joe Cribbs, and Brent Fullwood ahead of him.
Here's the toss sweep that we talked about earlier. Look at the block on the outside linebacker. He won't let him off. Morris Lewis is blocked by Victor Hall, and that's what opens up the toss sweep. It looks like Pat Dye went in at halftime and got their attention, and they're coming out the same way they started the game. It's a little fire in their eyes, Auburn.
Danley has been hampered by an ankle problem. He sat out spring practice, got off to a slow start this year with the ankle, and he did limp off the field after that carry. That's incomplete. Intended for Dale Overton, and it looked like Dale might have been hearing the footsteps of a couple of Georgia defenders.
I'll tell you who made a great play on that was the linebacker, Dwayne Simmons. Watch Stan White. Dwayne Simmons is on his drop right now, and he drops right inside the backer. Leaves his feet in front of the receiver, knocks the ball away. Dwayne Simmons, an outstanding job of getting back to his zone and covering that zone underneath the wide receiver. Auburn's coming out throwing the football.
Blitz from Georgia, picked up beautifully by Auburn. Man open, first down. Fred Baxter with his second nice catch of the game. He made a one-handed grab in the first half, and that time he took a big stick from Mike Jones after the catch.
Okay, Georgia blitz, both inside linebackers coming, but they're playing zone coverage behind it. You see Fred Baxter is going to come open here. All kind of time for Stan White. They pick the blitz up, and they're playing zone coverage behind him. Fred Baxter makes the play.
Auburn on the move of the Georgia 44. A minute and a half played in the third quarter. It's 16-0 Auburn. White, man wide open, the tight end Victor Hall, rumbling through the secondary and down at the 19-yard line.
Same play that Auburn ran early, the misdirection play. They fake the toss sweep because they run the toss sweep so well, you have to defend it. Here's the fake. Knotts, you see Victor Hall just sit down, gets the ball. Now, watch the yardage he makes after the catch. Good speed by that tight end. Up the football field. Auburn is coming out just like they did in the first half. They're excited about playing. They brought the crowd back in the game, too. If you're Georgia, Ray Goff, it's not what you wanted to see start out this half.
This is the area of the field where the Auburn offense struggled in the first half. Danley thrown for a loss. Torrey Evans, the sophomore linebacker, came slicing through the hole and dropped Danley at the 22.
Well, they're bringing linebackers in every play. Watch the two inside linebackers. Here they come again. Torrey Evans sneaks through and makes the play. The offensive guard and the center both came off on the offensive play. One of them have to come off on the linebacker, and they didn't do it. Torrey Evans came through scot-free to make the tackle in the backfield. Watch the tight end on a delay here. They're open for a delay because they're sending the backers.
On 2nd and 13, it's Danley to the left side. He's back to the 19, 3rd and 10 will be the situation for the Auburn offense.
Well, a toss sweep for, as I said, for both these teams. It's just like Pat Sullivan sending him to play. See, he wears a different color so that the quarterback can find him when there's problems and you get into a ball game and all kinds of things are happening on the sideline. You can find him because he's wearing that bright sweater so the quarterback can find him and get the signal. Auburn doesn't want to settle for a field goal.
They have 3 of those already. On 3rd and nearly 10, White to the corner of the end zone. He threw it away. Herbert Casey had 3 Georgia defenders near him.
Well, what's happened, again, Georgia's blitzing a lot, and Auburn's able to move the ball out in the field, but when they get down to about the 20-25-yard line, they run out of room, and the blitz is really affecting them in the red zone area. Stan White, a little frustrated, gets a chance to go over Pat Sullivan, talk to him. Pat's been there, he's been on this field, he knows he's had the same problem, so he can relate.
Auburn has scored just 2 touchdowns in their last 9 quarters. All of their scoring last week against Southern Mississippi from Jim Von Weil, who kicked 4 field goals in that game. Trying for his 4th here, and he has it. 4th field goal of the football game for Jim Von Weil, and it's 19-0 Tigers. ESPN's presentation of CFA Primetime Football, Georgia versus Auburn, is being brought to you by Chevy Trucks. More people are winning with the heartbeat of America. And by Levi's 505, 506, and 540 jeans. 19-0 Auburn, just underway in the 3rd quarter. Sean McDonough with Mike Gottfried and Kevin Kylan. Carswell will down into the end zone. Along the sidelines, here is Kevin.
Thank you, Sean. You may be, when you think about this Georgia team, not one of the top teams in the Southeast Conference, but you really can't doubt their enthusiasm and the building blocks for the future. It's a team that virtually never sits down, and even though they're trailing in this game and haven't scored, they're patting each other on the back, and they're really pulling for each other. It's a team that I think is building for the future, and Ray Goff not doing a bad job if he's trying to teach enthusiasm. Back upstairs to you.
Kevin, it's on-the-job training.
Late pitch by Dupree. Hurst lost it. At the 23, a scramble for the football, and the Tigers have it. Well, that'll diminish the enthusiasm of Garrison Hurst and the Georgia Bulldogs. Their third turnover, a fumble recovered by Jason Merchant.
The option, Joe Dupree runner. Watch Rocker here. He's helping to play the option because he's making the quarterback make the play. Pitch was a little behind Garrison Hurst. He just dropped the football. Two freshmen. You're talking about tough times. Joe Dupree, a freshman. Garrison Hurst, a true freshman.
So the first play from scrimmage of each half for Georgia results in a turnover.
Reverse.
Flag down. If the play stands, it's going to be a big gainer for Auburn, and perhaps a touchdown. Greg Taylor scores for Auburn, but will the play stand?
They brought both linebackers. I'm not so sure somebody wasn't offside on the blitz, one of the linebackers from Georgia.
That's what the Auburn players were indicating, and that is the call from Mike Gentry. Touchdown Auburn on the reverse, a 23-yard run for Greg Taylor.
Excellent call by the Auburn coaching staff. The blitz inside. Watch the linebackers come inside. Now everybody is blocked down inside and coming to the football. Now all of a sudden Greg Taylor comes out. There's no one out there. One defensive back to beat Chris Wilson. It's a touchdown. Just an excellent call in the red zone because of the blitzing.
Jim Von Weil drills it through. 26-0 Auburn.
Let's take a look at this play again. Again, you know they're having success blitzing. Look at the blitz. Everybody's inside going to the football. Here comes Greg Taylor. There's one man to beat, Chris Wilson, the defensive back. That's it. He misses a tackle. Right the points down.
Taylor had carried twice previously for negative yardage. Third time's a charm for Greg and the Auburn offense. He's a senior from nearby Opelika, Alabama.
If the run and shoot offense continues to make it pro football, that's where Greg Taylor will play. In somebody's run and shoot offense. He's 5'8", 166 pounds, got some quicks, and he'd be the type of player you could put in that offense and be a big play type player.
26-0. The 5-yard walk-off will be assessed on the kickoff. Dickinson will kick it off from the 40. You saw on the replay of the touchdown that Dwayne Simmons clearly encroached. He was blitzing from his linebacker spot. Chad Wilson wearing out the grass with his constant retreats to handle kickoffs.
Ray Goff just has to give encouragement. That's all he can do right now. Knows he's a little short. Manpower. Talking to his running back about the fumble.
Carswell started at the goal line. And a good run back to the 23. Alex Thomas made the tackle on special teams for Auburn. 2 interceptions and a fumble. The 3 Georgia miscues, and all 3 have resulted in Auburn points.
Well, it's been a mismatch on Georgia's offensive line and the defensive line of Auburn, the veteran players that they have. And then now they just have them down 26-0. They're just going to turn them loose.
Joe Dupree thrown down. David Rocker, one of 4 finalists for the Lombardi Trophy, made the play behind the line of scrimmage.
Watch David Rocker on this play. Watch him come off the block as soon as a snap. He's up against Lamont Tellis. He sees the sprint out, just goes right by Lamont Tellis, makes the tackle on Joe Dupree. He says a finalist for the Lombardi Trophy with some other good football players. And there's the finalists right there. David Rocker, Chris Sorich, Russell Maryland, the outstanding player from Miami, and Mo Gardner from Illinois, who's having a good year.
Second down. Pass complete. Chris Broom, the tight end. Out to the 30. They'll spot him at the 31. Still 2 yards short of a first down.
Auburn sent the linebackers on this play and left the zone open, the weak side zone, and they were able to find Chris Bloom on the crossing route. Georgia has 52 total yards. Auburn 219.
Third down and 2 at the 31.
It's a big third down play. Otherwise, we've got ourselves a route on their hands.
He's seen a few 3rd and 2s. Dupree. Good moves. Joe Dupree out near midfield with a first down for the Bulldogs.
Well, if you're a Georgia fan, this is the hope you need for the future when you see a player like Joe Dupree on the sprint out. This is a run all the way. Both backs are blocking, leading up inside. Larry Ware makes a block. This is not a pass. This is a run all the way. Puts a good move on Dennis Wallace, moves up the field, finally is tackled down the football field, picks up a key first down.
Super Prep magazine named Joe Dupree the 7th best quarterback prospect coming out of high school nationally last year. He's out of Southwest Macon High School in Macon, Georgia. Garrison Hurst crosses midfield. He's down at the 47 of Auburn with a first down gain of 4 yards.
The difference in the blitzing, Sean, that we're seeing from both teams. Georgia's doing a lot of their blitzing up inside. Auburn's coming from the outside. They know that Joe Dupree is going to be working the corner, so they're going to blitz from the outside. Here again, the linebacker just makes the play, stops number 56. Darrell Crawford just stops the fullback in his tracks. He makes the play on Garrison Hurst. Lots of pressure from the outside from Auburn.
2nd and 6. Hurst up the middle to the 44. He picks up 3 more.
Who's your Heisman Trophy vote, Sean?
After what I saw last week, I would go with Ty Detmer.
He's a very deserving candidate, as is Rocket Ishmael and Eric Bieniemy is having a good year for Colorado. I think those are the 3 top players right now. And of course, Rocket Ishmael has the advantage. He's on TV every week.
Eric Bieniemy deserves some serious consideration as well.
Yes, he does.
I would agree. I think those are the 3 who are at the top of the list at the moment. Larry Ware struggles, and he appears to have the first down. It'll depend on the spot. Here's Tim.
Gentlemen, the times they are changing. How about California finishing 2nd in the Pac-10 race? Well, they're on their way, it would appear. Russell White, 8 yards for the touchdown. It is now 25-18 in the 4th quarter. Over 100 yards on the day for Mr. White. Back to Sean, Mike, and Kevin.
Tim, I wonder where the band's at here in the 4th quarter. They may still be a factor in that game.
California heading for the Copper Bowl. Timeout called by Georgia. They were still in the huddle with 4 seconds left on the play clock. 4th and inches upcoming for Ray Goff and the Georgia Bulldogs. Well, Mike, if Georgia's going to get back into this football game, they need to pick up this 4th and inches.
I think they'll try to roll out with Joe Dupree on this particular play.
Over the top. Looks like they picked it up. Larry Ware, the ball carrier, the official along the near side of the field, is going to mark him inside the 36, and that would be a first down.
Darrell Crawford met him right in the air. They ran the jet play where you go over the top. Good block by the fullback. You see Darrell Crawford meet him right in the air. Wow. I don't know about that one. That was an excellent tackle by Darrell Crawford. Met him right in the air. Larry Ware picked up the first down. I don't want to get on the referees again.
No, I thought it was a good spot. Dupree has running room. Boy, he has some nice moves in the open field as well. Froze the linebacker as he froze and picked up about 9 yards on the play.
Joe Dupree made a good fake on this to the tailback, which held everybody. Watch the fake here. Excellent fake. Now everybody's held inside. James Willis went inside. There's nothing outside. Corey Barlow will eventually come up and force him outside along with Darrell Crawford. There's Corey Barlow outside.
2nd down 2. Ware, nice hole into the secondary. Larry Ware going in for a Georgia touchdown.
Well, he made the people from Montgomery happy. Larry Ware, running back from Montgomery, Alabama.
Fifth touchdown of the year for Ware. John Casey to try the extra point. Casey's missed one this year. He's an excellent kicker. One of the best in the nation. And that one is good. And with 6:48 left in the third quarter, it's 26-7 in favor of Auburn.
Watch the linebackers on the replay. They over-pursue a little bit on Larry Ware. Just got up the field too far. James Willis, once he got in the secondary, it was a foot race with John Wiley, and he won it. Here's a second look. Coming right at you, right in your living room. Larry Ware just finds a little seam through there because James Willis got upfield too far, scores a touchdown, and makes all the people in Montgomery happy. Well, not all the people, because there's a lot of Auburn fans over there, but from his school, they're happy.
Yes, indeed. Robert E. Lee High School produced Larry Ware. Far and away the best drive of the day for Georgia. 9 plays, 77 yards. It took 4 minutes and 25 seconds.
Outstanding young man. Over there for the blue-gray game. He's an outstanding prospect, good student.
Well, already on ESPN, we had one exciting comeback as Penn State came from behind to beat Notre Dame. Georgia has plenty of work to do if they're going to duplicate that feat. Good kick by Casey. Down in the end zone by Pedro Cherry. Throughout the day, we've been asking for your vote. Who's your Heisman? 900-786-2255, the number. Bieniemy, Detmer, Ismail, Klinger, and more. The players you can vote for, and the updated standings find Ty Detmer. Do you think it was my endorsement?
I think that helped.
I think if the Rocket had been able to play in the second half and had kept on the pace he was on in the first half, that would have swayed some voters. On first down for Auburn, Williams into the secondary. Darrell Williams out to the 40, a gain of 20 for Auburn.
Electron Williams, and he has them cheering in Mobile. Runs the counter, look at the guard and tackle leaving. The backers are gone. Good blocks right there, and Electron breaks in the secondary. Al Jackson eventually brings him down. Exciting young runner for the Auburn team. Here's the second look. Lots of misdirections, what held the defensive linebackers and broke Electron through in the secondary.
He was Mr. Alabama football in 1988. White's pass batted down. He's had several of those today. Here's Tim.
Fellas, one of the better bowl games will be the California Raisin Bowl. I'm going to tell you why. San Jose State, which tied Louisville, lost to Washington by 3, won today over Jim Sweeney's club by a final score of 42-7. That's a pretty big win anytime. They will get the Chippewas out of the Mid-America Conference in the California Raisin Bowl, Central Michigan to take on San Jose.
When Fresno has lost this year, they have lost big.
That's an exciting conference.
Second and 10. 26-7 in favor of Auburn. We're in the third quarter. Williams flag down on the play. Williams down after a gain of 5. Just the penalties in that direction. Georgia was offside. That penalty will be accepted.
Watch the right side of your screen. Georgia moved just a little bit, the defensive end right there. Moved a little bit, got caught in the neutral zone just before the pitch to Electron Williams.
Penalties 5 yards.
Penalties 5 for Georgia and 6 for Auburn. Been a pretty well officiated football game.
Yes, it has been.
At the Tiger 45.
Although I think you have some good ideas to improve the quality of officiating in college football. We'll discuss those as time permits. Now the officials discussing something among themselves with 2nd and 5 upcoming.
Too much credit.
Second down, second down.
Yeah, I think there's some things that they can improve in college football, and I think officials, there's some things we can look at that I think needs to be changed.
2nd and 5 from the 45 of Auburn. Williams, he runs hard when they hand him the ball, and he has a first down at the 49 of Georgia. Mo Lewis made the tackle for the Bulldogs.
We're running a lot of misdirection with Electron Williams now. Now would be a good time to get a play-action pass with Stan White faking this kind of action. Here's the misdirection. Watch the guard and tackle. Ed King, number 67, on the kick out. Electron Williams just sneaks through, picks up a first down, tackled by Morris Lewis. They're setting up a play-action pass for a big play off of that same type of action.
Blitz coming. White down. Driven to the turf by Mitch Davis.
Just what I thought would happen. They came back with a play-action pass. Watch the fake to Electron Williams. I think Electron Williams has this block over here on Mitch Davis. He just got too far up in the line of scrimmage, and he couldn't make the block. They faked to Electron. He got too far up, couldn't come out on Mitch Davis to make the block. They were going to try to go downtown on a post route.
2nd sack of the year for the true freshman, Mitch Davis. Flag down on 2nd down. Taylor the catch. He's back to the 49-yard line of Georgia. But first, let's check out the flag.
Holding, offense, 2nd down.
Auburn's getting a little sloppy. They came out with a nice drive. They started the second half, picked up a couple penalties in this particular drive.
Asked Pat Dye yesterday if he had any different emotions coaching against his alma mater, the University of Georgia. He said no. He said, I have been at Auburn far longer than I was at the University of Georgia, and I am an Auburn man.
He's 6-3 versus Georgia going into tonight's game.
2nd and 28. White has a man open. Dale Overton with the catch. He's back to midfield. It'll be 3rd and 11 to come for Auburn, a 17-yard pickup.
They move Stan White sprinting out to the left. He's going to hit Dale Overton. The key to this pass play is watch Stan White get his feet up under him so he can throw the ball. He puts a lot on it. Dale Overton comes back to the ball. Now makes a cut, tries to break loose to pick up more yardage, tackled by Chuck Carswell, number 27.
Dale Overton came to Auburn as a walk-on. It's his 17th catch of the year. 3rd and 11. White has it batted down again. Mo Lewis, who's been a standout on defense for Georgia, batted the pass down.
They're going to have to block Morris Lewis a little more aggressive. He's knocked about 3 passes down today because they're not getting his hands down. He's right in the throwing lane of Stan White.
Chuck Carswell back to receive the punt from Richie Nell. Ray Goff said they would come after Nell. They do again, and he just does get it off. A very high kick. And the fair catch made at the 15. 3:27 left in the 3rd quarter. We'll be right back. Well, the Auburn team might have played complacently from time to time this season, but their fans are anything but complacent. The team leading 26-7, but the Tiger fans whooping it up 85,000 strong here at Jordan-Hare Stadium. 1st and 10, Georgia. From their 15, Ware off tackle, back to the line, and that is all. Mike, we mentioned moments ago that you had some thoughts to improve officiating in college football. Perhaps you could share them with us.
Well, I think all the problems we've had with officials, I think number one, you need to hire one commissioner, one national director of all the officials. Number two, make areas, take it away from the leagues. You can't have an SEC officials group of Big Ten. Make the East, the Independents, the ACC, the West would be the Pac-10 and the WAC officials. But instead of being called officials from a league, they're officials from an area. Number three, no split crews. So your area officials would be the officials that would represent every game. Four, I think, is an important one. I think the coaches and players, I see it more and more, and of course I was guilty of that when I coached too, of inciting the crowd or getting in an argument. There ought to be a 5-yard penalty. It's like a technical foul because people won't throw the flag and make it a 15-yard penalty, and if you get 2 of them, you're out of the game. And then the last thing is sudden death like the pros do. An extra quarter to break a tie.
Dupree under pressure as he threw too high for Sean Hummings. And Georgia will be forced to punt.
I think the biggest problems we have in officiating is when you have split crews in different divisions. Do away with that. Here's the replay. Watch Joe Dupree throw the football. He's got a post pattern coming over, and boy, does he take a hit from James Willis. James Willis has been in the backfield. Number 91, Lamar Rogers, also making a play.
Shane Wasden waiting for the punt from Scott Armstrong. Short wobbly kick. Wasden falls for the fair catch on the run. Auburn begins at its own 47. Thanksgiving Day. We hope you'll make a part of your holiday. CFA football on ESPN. 7:30 Eastern time. West Virginia takes on South Carolina. It's been a disappointing year for those two teams, but a nice way to finish up the season would be with a win on the holiday.
Well, both teams have good coaches. They're young teams, and they'll be back next year.
2:07 to play, third quarter. Auburn with the lead, 26-7. White dumps it off to James Joseph. He's struggling for first down yardage. He didn't quite get there. He picked up 8 to the 45 of Georgia.
Eventually we should see where Auburn is going to gain an advantage from the substitutions they've had in the first half. They should eventually wear Georgia down.
With that completion, Stan White has just become the first freshman in Auburn history to pass for 2,000 yards. He's thrown for 161 yards tonight. He's over 2,000 for the year.
It's only going to get better. Here's the offset with the fullback not in an eye position so he can get out in the pass pattern.
White going deep. It is caught. Looked like Carswell would pick it off, but Herbert Casey made a great catch at the 5-yard line.
Here's Stan White throwing the football. Watch the contact after. Bernard Williams, here's the pass. Can't defend this any better. Herbert Casey's defended in pretty good position. The ball's kind of deflected. Herbert's alert enough to make the play. Usually only allowed 1 catch per ball, but he had 2 there.
On the ground with Danley, slicing toward the goal line, flag down. Danley not into the end zone. He thought he was. The officials do not agree. And there is a flag thrown right about where Danley hit the turf.
Holding. Offense. Be a first down.
Usually when you get a hold call on a toss sweep, it's on the tight end, because that's where it looked like the call came from the official in the far left corner of the end zone. Pat's not real happy about it, but not showing a lot of emotion.
Mrs. Dye isn't very happy either. That is Sue Dye.
Yep, she threw her hands up. She thinks we ought to have a regional director of officials too.
Either that or she's a little camera shy, one or the other.
Auburn inside the 20.
They They struggled in the red zone today, and they have to use a timeout. Time was about to tick off on the play clock. White saw it, and he uses the first timeout called by Auburn here in the second half. 25 seconds left in the third quarter. Ray Goff finishing his second season as head coach at Georgia. He is the third youngest head coach in Division I behind David Rader of Tulsa and Tim Murphy of the University of Cincinnati. Mike Archer will depart as LSU coach. There's been a lot of speculation that Rocky Felker will be relieved of his duties by Mississippi State as well.
Well, Rocky Felker won a big game today. How can your university academic group come forth with a statement I believe it was 3 or 4 days ago, where they said, when we hire a new coach, we want him to be strong in the area of academics and also never to have any problem with the NCAA. And here Rocky Felker won a big game day. I hope Rocky Felker's able to hold on to that job.
Ray Goff apparently will, despite the losing record in his 2 years, 6-6 last year, a 6-5 regular season with a loss to Syracuse in the Peach Bowl. And at the moment 4-5 with 2 games left to play, including this one. 4-7 is a distinct possibility. Georgia Tech, the final game of the year in Athens for Georgia this year. But as Vince Dooley said, they've recruited well and they hope the future's bright.
Well, the graph on those young coaches, they're in tough jobs, and sometimes it takes a little longer to build a program.
On first and goal to go, White lost the football. It's caught in the air by Georgia. Now a struggle for the football. It's free. Whose ball will it be? It will belong to Georgia back at the 31-yard line. Well, we had a little bit of everything on that play, including a wrestling match at the place the tackle was made as Auburn tried to get it back, but the officials ruled that the play was over about 5 yards short of that back at the 31.
Morris Lewis again comes right through the block. Stan White makes a bad decision right here. Just take the sack.
Willie Jennings came up with the football, and then the wrestling began. The officials blew the play dead at the 31. Final seconds of the third quarter. Dupree sets up a screen too high for Larry Ware.
Good play call by George Hafner, the offensive coordinator at Georgia. Feeling the pressure. The screen was open. Joe Dupree just threw it too high. He knows he made a mistake. Talking about Mississippi State, and again, the statement that was made, that was reported. Now, maybe that wasn't the statement as it was, wasn't maybe reported accurately. But it's very difficult. It's a tough profession. There's the Georgia coaches trying to get something going with their offense.
In the upper right portion of your screen, you saw Vince Dooley and an adjacent booth. Ware running left, needs to hurry to turn the corner. He can't do it. The play strung out nicely by the Auburn defenders, and the tackle made by Ricky Sutton, the sophomore from Tucker, Georgia. End of 3 quarters, 26-7, Auburn.
Long yardage situation, Sean. Auburn has brought 6 DBs in. Joe Dupree better be very careful right here on throwing this football. One thing he doesn't want is a turnover, and there's a heavy percentage that he's going to have trouble.
Quarterback draw, good call. Dupree out across the 40, close to a first down.
Excellent call by George Hafner. The blitz came from the outside, ran a quarterback draw. They brought the 6 defensive backs in, expecting him to throw the football. Watch the draw. It's a draw all the way. Here comes the pressure from the outside. Number 92, Ricky Sutton. Defensive backs are too far away. John Wiley, he makes the play. Good call by George Hafner. George used to coach at the University of Pittsburgh, Iowa State. Jack worked with Jackie Sherrill.
We mentioned when Dupree came in, he's a good runner, not as accomplished a thrower, at least at this point of his career. And he's going to have to burn a timeout. Plenty of confusion on the Georgia side as the play clock was down to 6, and they still were not in sync in the huddle. Still a big lead for the Tigers. ESPN's presentation of CFA primetime football, Georgia versus Auburn, is being brought to you by Jeep. There's only one Jeep. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. just underway in the fourth quarter, and it's a 1st and 10 for Georgia. Larry Ware goes nowhere. He bounced off Daryl Crawford and went down to the line of scrimmage.
Daryl Crawford has had an excellent game today. He did not take the fake of the counter. He sat right in the hole where the ball was coming and made a big league tackle. He's had an outstanding football game. 6'2", 226 junior.
Ray Goff and the Bulldogs now with just 1 timeout remaining. Wilson with flags down. Into the secondary and down at the 27-yard line. There is a flag thrown in the offensive backfield of the University of Georgia. If the play stands, it covered 29 yards.
I believe that one's coming back too.
Chad Wilson got up hobbling as well.
Shot block against the offense. 15 yards, 3 and out.
May have called that on the nose guard. The offensive guard may have chopped him. Somebody sets him up and somebody blocks him low. That's exactly what they're calling.
Yes.
See, run it back one more time. Watch the left guard. See if we can get that replay for you again. That's exactly what they called. The center set the block up. We'll come back to that after this play.
Instead of a first down in Auburn territory, it's 2nd and 25. Dupree, he's going to run for a long way. The secondary kept running downfield with the receivers. Joe Dupree all the way down to the 29-yard line.
Auburn was caught in the blitz. The reason the receivers and the defensive people run down the field was man coverage. Here comes the blitz. Watch the linebackers inside. James Willis. Now the reason there's no one there, everybody's running with their man in man coverage. Eventually they'll come off. And Corey Barlow makes the tackle.
43-yard gain for Joe Dupree. Now Ware off left guard to the 26 for a pickup of 3.
Here's the replay of the chop block. Watch the center. He sets up the middle guard. Watch number 70 now. He's going to come in and hit him low in the knees, and that was the call right there. Set up like you can't set somebody up and then somebody come down and block him like that. But they made up the yardage, Sean. We're back down here in the red zone.
On 2nd down, Dupree again with running room. Dupree inside the 20, 1st down Georgia. He got to the 17 before he was driven back, and Ray Goff's Bulldogs are on the move.
He's an exciting young player. He challenges that corner on the sprint out. Now that was a pass run option. Dennis Wallace eventually came up and made the play. A lot of Georgia fans in this end zone where Georgia's heading into. It's a great Southern rivalry.
Yes, it is.
This again makes college football. It's exciting.
About a 3.5-hour drive to Athens, Georgia from Auburn, Alabama. This time they try the fullback up the middle, Alfonso Ellis, to the 15 for a gain of 2 on 1st down.
Daryl Crawford again having a big-time game. Just makes the play on the fullback. Alfonso Ellis, that was the first part of the option. They've been running the option successfully early in the ball game. Now here's the give to the fullback. There's Daryl Crawford, liberal arts major.
2nd and 8 for Georgia at the Auburn 15. Bulldogs trail 26-7. Ellis again up the middle. Alfonso had a terrific freshman year, rushed for 292 yards. He's now a senior, and that freshman year is still the best year of his career. He's been bothered by knee injuries. Last year he only carried the ball 19 times because of that knee problem.
I think if I'm Ray Goff, I use 2 plays here to get this yardage, Sean. On the other side, you have Wayne Hall, the defensive coordinator from Auburn, an outstanding football coach and graduate of the University of Alabama. Was coached by Pat Dye at Alabama.
Georgia has to hurry. 2 seconds left as they snap it. Dupree looking to throw it. He'd better get rid of it. He can't. Carrick and Cunningham the 16, and the field goal team will come on.
Can't go to the well too often. Run that sprint out and had success with it, but Cherokee Cunningham will come off the corner. You'll see him right here, along with James Willis, make the play on Joe Dupree, forcing the field goal.
John Casey, 15 of 20 in field goals this year. This a 33-yarder, and it is good.
It's Auburn 26, Georgia 10.
So Georgia is now within 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions with 10:09 to play. 26-10 Auburn with 10:09 to play.
John, it's not out of the realm of possibility he'll onside kick this play. You're down by 16. You only have 1 timeout left. Got a little momentum going. It'd be a risky decision, but not out of the realm of possibility. Maybe thinking that way.
Casey, short kick taken by Herbert Casey. Look out! Herbert Casey up the sideline and out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Here's Kevin Kiley.
All week long, Pat Dye's been talking about getting his team to be enthusiastic, playing together. He was looking for an effort offensively and defensively that would bring this team together. Tonight, I think he has it. I think the incentive is that Tennessee won today, beat Mississippi. Auburn now has a shot to tie for the conference title, and that would be 4 consecutive conference titles for Auburn, a new school record, and 1 short of the all-time record of Alabama. Back upstairs.
In the past, when teams have been tied for the SEC title, the Sugar Bowl committee has taken the highest-ranked team. That would be Tennessee at the moment. Nearly an interception as Taylor was the intended target and Wynn broke it up. Here's Tim Brando.
Gentlemen, another team already bound for a bowl bites the dust. John Hopkins of Stanford with a field goal in the closing seconds knocks Cal out of second place in the Pac-10, and you could call this the revenge of the band game in '82. We'll explain why on the Residence Inn scoreboard. Gottfried, even you wouldn't believe how a coach could lose this game.
I believe anything. You know what Kevin Kiley was talking about? I think Pat Dye right now is thinking to the Alabama game. He'd like to get his team more in sync for that big ball game in 2 weeks. He has this game under control, barring any unforeseen happening.
Stacey Danley swarmed under at the 40, a gain of 2. Wynn up from the secondary to make the play.
Georgia defense has really played well. As you see Pat Dye and Pat Sullivan getting ready to send the play. And Richard Bell used to be the head coach of South Carolina. Has done an excellent job with his game plan tonight for the Georgia defense. Pat Dye, again, has great success. And finishing with Georgia here. You got a great rivalry here. And in 2 weeks, you got the big rivalry with Alabama. Gene Stallings.
3rd and 8. 9:15 to play in the 4th quarter. Auburn has a 16-point lead. White on the run. Taylor to go through his hands and caught by another Tiger. Dale Overton, after it went through the hands of Taylor, made the catch for a first down in Georgia territory.
Well, in practice, receivers will work on a tip drill, and this is exactly what it is. And it's not planned, but you've got to be alert. Dale Overton is. Here's the throw right through the hands of Greg Taylor. Now here's the tip drill. Dale Overton diving, makes the play. It's all those drills somewhere along the line pay off.
What a big break. Keeps the drive alive, keeps the clock moving. Joseph. Whistles were sounding as he was still driving forward. He's down at the 41-yard line.
I'm impressed with Georgia, the way they played. They played with a lot of heart tonight. Young football team. They have fought. This defense has fought all night.
We've talked about their youth and enthusiasm. One thing that could diminish that enthusiasm is the report of an NCAA inquiry into the Georgia football program. Georgia has not received word from the NCAA that it is being investigated, but there have been a couple of published reports in Georgia newspapers that there is an investigation underway.
I think the tough thing, Sean, when that happens, it's very difficult, as we've talked about all night about the profession, but there needs to be a new rule. The NCAA is very archaic in their investigative manner. Dave Burst does an outstanding job, but here's Ray Goff. If somebody reports that, that doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but it lingers on and on. They have to put a rule in that you have 90 days to 120 days once you do file an inquiry, somebody does, that you got to clear it up. It can't go on for 3 years because it just affects the program, affects the coaches, it affects recruiting. If it's true, and you need to get on it and find out. If they need more people in the NCAA, they need to hire more people. Dave Burst does an outstanding job, but probably needs more people.
It is very unfair to Georgia. If there is nothing to the report, it still is a shadow that looms over their recruiting.
Well, it could loom for a year and a half. It's loom. I went to Kansas. We were just being investigated when I took the job, the previous staff, and people were telling us we'd be on probation for 20 years. They use that in recruiting, and it's not fair.
1st and 10 Auburn. White tripped as he handed the ball off to Danley. Still they make a gain of the play as Danley pulls down to the 32.
Ray Goff's had a tough time. He's had a lot of things happen. This is interesting. He turned his wife in for a telephone call that she made to a recruit. The recruit committed, and he had to turn her in because she was not one of the 9 coaches that could call. And he told Vince Dooley if she got that recruit in 3 minutes, what it took the whole coaching staff a year and a half to get, he's going to fire all his coaches and hire his wife.
She was trying to be nice to welcome the young man to Georgia. He had already made up his mind. Here's Danley to the 15-yard line. 1st and 10 Auburn. The Tigers on the move, trying to put this one away.
I think Georgia's wearing down a little bit on defense. Here's the belly play. Number 97, Mike Steele, gets too far up the field. You see the hole. I think Georgia's wearing down just a little bit. Tackles made by Mike Jones and Chris Wilson in the secondary, number 9 and 16.
Well, that tip pass that was caught by Overton was a real backbreaker as far as the Georgia Bulldogs are concerned. They're about to stop the Tigers, force a punt. Instead, the drive has continued. Looks like a broken play. Now White throws. Intercepted. And what a great interception along the near sideline. George Wynn with the pickoff. An acrobatic catch. Now the question is, where will they spot him? Looks like they're going to call him down at the 1 and not in the end zone.
Auburn hasn't had a lot of success with this play action. This is a naked action where no one comes out and blocks for Stan White. He fakes the toss sweep. I think they had a busted play. The fullback was supposed to come out and block the outside backer. Morris Lewis under pressure through the interception. Here's a second look. It's just a break in the backfield. Electron Williams just didn't pick up the outside backer.
Ooh, dangerous play. They run the toss out of their own end zone. And Ware just did cross the goal line, get back into the field of play. The interception for George Wynn was his 3rd of the year. That leads the Georgia team.
Here's another look at George Wynn's interception. He just goes up, takes that ball away. I think he took it right off the helmet of Pedro Cherry. Pat Dye has to worry a little bit about his red zone play tonight, where you get the ball inside the 30-yard line and you can't translate those plays into touchdowns. And that's got to be concerned for 2 weeks from now.
Dupree just trying to get some breathing room, pushed it out to the 5. 3rd and 6 upcoming for Georgia. And time very much a factor now. 5:25 remaining in the 4th quarter. Pat Dye and the Tigers in possession of a 26-10 lead.
Georgia has, if they have any chance to win this football game, they've got to throw it and get out of here.
Dupree will throw out of his own end zone to the near sideline. No chance. That was well out of bounds. Thrown in the direction of Kevin Maxwell.
I think they'll try a middle return on this kick. Try to spring Shane Wasden right up the middle of the football field. A middle return.
Armstrong almost along the back line of the end zone. This is his 8th punt.
They threw something at him. He's got to watch his back foot that he doesn't touch that line.
short kick. Wasden from the 37. Trying to walk the tightrope. They'll mark him out inside the 30 at about the 28-yard line. Exactly 5 minutes to play. Auburn is in command.
Come through the offense right here on the right side. Here he comes through. Now he's a red shirt freshman. He's going to leave his feet. Look at this youthful move right here. Ooh. Look at this block. May not make it to the dance after the game.
Alfonso Ellis sent Merchant airborne. Great field possession for Auburn at the Georgia 28. Boy, field position has been the biggest difference in this game. Neither offense has been scintillating. But Auburn has taken advantage of the Georgia turnovers and of excellent field position. And on first down, it's Darrell Williams to the 26 for a gain of 2.
Ray Goff, you look at him here, you got Pat Dye. Pat Dye right now is concerned. His biggest concern is 2 weeks from now. He knows he's going to face a very tough Alabama defense. And in this area that he's in right now on the football field, his offense has not performed well. He'd like to see him score a touchdown right here. Get a little confidence for 2 weeks from now.
Second and 8. Williams couldn't get outside. Mitch Davis made the play for Georgia. The outside linebackers for the Dogs, Davis and Lewis, have been outstanding tonight.
Richard Bell can be proud of his defense tonight because they have fought and scratched and been on the field this whole ball game. Been a little bit, but they would never break.
Mitch Davis, another of those true freshmen, playing for Ray Goff. Now a timeout called by Auburn. Each team has one timeout remaining with 3:48 to play, and the Tigers on top, 26-10. Sean McDonough with Mike Gottfried and Kevin Kiley at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. The homestanding Tigers trying to end a 2-game losing streak, leading 26-10 with 3:48 to play, and they're facing 3rd and 7 at the 25 of Georgia. On the ground with Danley. First down and more. Stacy Danley down to the 11-yard line.
Brought down by number 9, Mike Jones, and number 27, Tim Carswell.
Well, a little bit too late for Stacy Danley to get into the Heisman race, but these gentlemen are very much alive. And we're asking for your opinion. Who's your Heisman? 900-786-2255. Mike, it's about time you stopped avoiding this issue and took a stand.
Well, I'll tell you, the top 3 would be deserving. I'm going to add my vote to Eric Bieniemy in Colorado. I think he's carried his football team. He's an excellent running back. They're having a great year, and add my vote for him.
James Joseph down to the 2, close to another first down for Auburn. Phone lines will stay open for our Heisman poll until the conclusion of this game, and Tim Brando will have the results for you on our Residence Inn postgame show.
1956, Paul Hornung won that award on a ball club Notre Dame team. It was 2-8.
Do you have any other fun Heisman facts you'd like to pass along as they measure?
I think that's interesting because, again, Notre Dame being on TV, Rocket Ismail is probably the favorite and deserving favorite. He's a deserving favorite. Ty Detmer will probably be on TV only one more time in a bowl game. You'll see the Rocket next week, and then you see him.
Ty Detmer has a game left in Hawaii, a game we volunteered to broadcast.
Well, I think we should go over there. There's Pat Dye. He's got his hat off. He'd like to see a touchdown here, even though he doesn't want to run the score up. He's more concerned about the Battle of Alabama. Get his offense untracked.
Residence Inn College scoreboard. Tim standing by to bring you up to date with all of the day's activity, which will include an Auburn win. Touchdown, Stacy Danley. Jim Von Weil. Drills it through. It's 33-10. Auburn.
From the end zone, watch Stacy Danley. Watch him open up the hole. James Joseph, lead block. He's just going to power through. He got that on his own.
These two teams will now look ahead to their upcoming in-state rivalries. Georgia's last game against Georgia Tech. Auburn's final game of the regular season against Alabama. West Virginia and South Carolina, our Thanksgiving Day game, Thursday at 7:30 Eastern Time. Speaking of within the state rivalries, here's a rivalry that is not appreciated as much around the country as it is in the state of Virginia, but they get after each other, Virginia and Virginia Tech, next Saturday at 4.
Well, Sean Moore's injured, but I'm going to tell you, they got a backup quarterback named Matt Blunden. That's a big-time quarterback.
And following the Virginia Tech battle at 7:30 Eastern Time, it's Syracuse heading for the Aloha Bowl, led by their outstanding head coach Dick McPherson against the Miami Hurricanes.
Where'd you graduate from, Tim?
Syracuse University. How'd you tell?
Your team's going to a bowl.
Yes, indeed.
Congratulations.
Scratch for it. The win today over West Virginia got Syracuse to the Aloha Bowl. Carswell running hard out to the 31-yard line.
Both these teams have interesting games remaining. Of course, Georgia against Georgia Tech. Bobby Ross got that Georgia Tech team playing very well offensively and defensively there. And then Alabama and Auburn. Gene Stallings and his coaching staff done a great job. Bill Oliver on defense, Mike DeBose, their coaching staff. And we talk about two exciting football games. They're both going to be exciting. And our game, Virginia Tech, next week will be a good one.
Well, the folks in Blacksburg are excited about our arrival. Virginia Tech doesn't get much exposure nationally, but just last week they played Georgia Tech to a 6-3 game in Atlanta. They are capable of playing with the best teams in the country.
Well, Frank Beamer's the head coach there. When I was coaching at Murray, he was an assistant of mine, took over from me when I left Murray, Kentucky. Great place to coach, by the way, great people. And Frank Beamer is an 8-man front coach on defense. They'll play good, solid defense. And as I said, Virginia will come in. Sean Moore's hurt. That's really a tough break. But again, Matt Blunden was a very highly recruited player out of Ridley, Pennsylvania High School. So he'll give him a good quarterback.
Dupree looking for Sean Hummings. Incomplete. Disappointing tonight that we did not get a look at Andre Hastings, the outstanding true freshman receiver for Georgia. He's out with an ankle injury. Pat Dye will have to prepare for him in the future.
One thing about Pat Dye is he looks across the sideline. He knows he's going to see these guys again next year and the year after and the year after. They'll be around for a while. This is a young group that's going to come on and get better.
I think what Ray Goff said to us yesterday proved to be true, that the defense plays well despite all of their injuries and losses for academic reasons. Here's Dupree again with the secondary man-to-man running down the field. None of them turned around to watch Dupree, and he went all the way to the 45 of Auburn with a first down.
Auburn still blitzing on defense. Wayne Hall still trying to get after the quarterback. Joe Dupree escapes and gets outside. He's dangerous once he starts running the football. 16 rushes, 117 yards. He's been the best weapon they've had on the ground.
He's only 1 for 10 passing for 11 yards. Going for it all, and it is incomplete. Batted away at the last moment. Nice defensive play made by Roy Hunter, a backup safety, as the pass was intended for Steve Moore.
Boy, Roy Hunter just with a great play here. Watch this pass. This is a touchdown. This got touchdown written all over it. Watch him get his hand on the ball. No, he just got his hand in the way of the eyesight of the receiver. Took his eye off the ball. I'd come back and throw it again.
33-10 Auburn. Pass incomplete. Intended for Kevin Maxwell, the junior from Zama, Japan.
Georgia's offensive line now 400-classmen will all be back. Bill Rosenberg, Hayes Sadler, Jack Swan, Lamont Tellis all will return. getting a little bit of a baptism tonight against this Auburn defensive front.
3rd and 10 now with 2:14 to play. Dupree. Out of bounds at the 40-yard line.
Well, they have one more shot, Sean, to try to put some points on the board on this 4th down play. Try to keep the drive alive. His best possibilities to try to run the football, go back, set up the throw, and take off.
It has been the best play tonight for Georgia. 4th and 5. Heavy rush, thrown and incomplete. Intended for Shannon Mitchell, the tight end. John Wiley, the first team All-SEC safety man, broke it up.
It's very difficult in this league to go undefeated. Every week you have a rivalry in the SEC. Some very strong football teams in this conference.
Tonight's Visa players of the game are from Georgia. Outside linebacker Mo Lewis, the senior from Peachtree, Georgia. And for Auburn, Darrell Crawford. Selected first team All-SEC in the preseason. He lived up to that advanced billing tonight. That's Alex Smith struggling for yardage, the junior from College Park, Georgia.
Frank McIntosh, the senior quarterback, is in it for Auburn, the signal caller position.
He's been a backup throughout his career. Backed up Reggie Slack for a couple of years, and now he's backing up White.
They battled in the spring, and Stan White got the edge in fall camp. Pat Dye's going with the young redshirt freshman. They're just going to run the clock out.
Smith out of bounds. Want to take this opportunity to tell you that as part of their continuing effort to further the development of amateur athletics, Visa is proud to donate $1,000 to each of these universities and $1,000 to the U.S. Olympic team on behalf of our athletes of the game, Mo Lewis and Darrell Crawford.
The bowl picture took a scrambling effect today with some losses. Colorado will probably move to #1. Wouldn't be surprised Miami moves to 2. Texas is coming on.
Georgia Tech, BYU. Yeah. Well, Edwards told us last week that he didn't think his team was still in that national championship picture, but he might have been a little bit premature in saying that. Tigers pick up the first down.
Colorado has the best advantage now. They'll go into the bowl #1 against Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, so it's theirs to win or lose.
Auburn will pick up a very important SEC victory. If they win their final game against Alabama and Kentucky wins its last 2, or rather Tennessee wins its last 2 against Kentucky and Vanderbilt, they would finish with a share of the SEC title. That would be up to the Sugar Bowl to choose which team would go to New Orleans. The important thing as far as an athletic director, and Pat Dye is also the athletic director, is concerned, is that the money gets split. Even if Tennessee goes to the Sugar Bowl, Pat Dye will get his half of that money.
Pat Dye's fortunate. He has Hyman Wall here as his athletic director, so he splits his duties as head football coach and athletic director. He has a good assistant. Miami's a team coming on. They're really playing well.
I think this season has demonstrated more than any other season I can remember the need for a playoff in college football. There's so many teams that right now could claim to be #1.
Right now, they're really just like basketball. You want to be strong at the end, and there's a lot of good college football teams right now that are really coming on.
The delay of game penalty walked off against Auburn, and the final play of the game is upcoming. Georgia, meanwhile, will suffer its first losing season since 1977 and just its second losing season in 27 years, as this loss will drop them to 4-6 with 1 game remaining at home against Georgia Tech in 2 weeks.
A lot of great pride in the Georgia program. They'll be back.
Alex Smith trying to make the last play of the game memorable as he rambles down the sideline, and finally they knock him out of bounds at the 13. Well, that run got him heading in the right direction. He just kept going right to the locker room, and Sue Dye's husband will be happy tonight as Pat Dye and the Auburn Tigers post a 33-10 victory over Georgia. As we mentioned, very important victory as far as the SEC title is concerned and the Sugar Bowl bid that comes with it.
As always,
let's go down to the field. Kevin Kiley's with the winning coach, Pat Dye.
all right, thank you, Sean. Pat Dye, congratulations. You were looking for a sign that this team would come together, that they'd be ready to play with Alabama in 2 weeks. Did you get it tonight?
Well, I think so. We still make some mistakes, and we're not a real polished football team offensively, but defensively, I thought we played the best we played all year long. Quarterback hurt us a couple of times, but we probably were coming on a little bit too much tonight.
You're back in the conference race if you do beat Alabama. You have any problem with Tennessee being ranked above you and they get the Sugar Bowl bid if you make it?
Not really. That's the luck of the draw. We've had our opportunities to be ranked higher than Tennessee. Whatever the people think we should be ranked, I think it'll be basically be fair. And these kids going to be somewhere in a bowl game, and if we can just share the conference championship with Tennessee, that'd be more than I could ask for.
Thank you, Pat, very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Sean, Mike, back upstairs.
Once again, the final score of tonight's game, Auburn 33 and Georgia 10. Auburn very much back in the Sugar Bowl picture with this victory